This is a bit unlike my other videos. This isn't book related, it's just a video diary of a sorts. A vlog, as one would call it. 2023 hasn't been the best to me so far. And I've already told several people this story, so it's probably not going to hit me as hard, and I hope I don't get emotional on camera. I was born with this heart problem, this heart condition called Epstein's abnormality of the tricuspid valve. And what it is that your heart has these two little flaps that open and close, that let the blood through and then closes. Let the blood through, closes. Mine are like this, to where sometimes the blood leaks back through and the heart doesn't get it, and the body absorbs it instead. So instead of getting enough oxygen, the heart just beats really, really fast to try and overcompensate, to try to make more, should we say. You know, some people recognize it as a heart murmur. Some people say palpitations. Anyway, I've been used to it. I've lived with it my whole life. So I've learned kind of how to control it, what triggers it. But unfortunately, it's not 100% fail-proof. Things happen, you know. It was 2 a.m. when I was woken up. I don't remember the exact date, but it was around the 1st. So let's just say New Year's. I was woken up at 2 a.m. and my heart was beating like uncontrollably fast. And this happens a lot. It does, especially early in the morning or at night. And I'm used to it, you know, so I just thought I'm just going to go back to sleep, and when I wake up, it'll be over with. And I had to work that morning at 7 o'clock. So I was kind of stressed about it. And I was stressed about a lot of things, which I think set it off. Anyway, when it was time for work, my alarm went off, and it still hadn't stopped. So I was texting my boyfriend, and I was like, for the past 2 days or so, I've been having a little bit of stress issues. So he'd given me this blood pressure machine that was supposed to test my heart rate. And it kept showing up error. So I texted him again that morning when I was going to work, and I was so upset that I was practically in tears, because I told him, you know, I don't want to go to work like this. How am I supposed to, you know, it just keeps going and it won't stop and it's hurting. He pretty much just says, you know, take that machine with you and we'll test it when you get here. So I said, okay, and I've taken it with me. And he had already told my boss that I wasn't feeling the best. And they all know about my heart problem, but they had never really seen anything happen to me. So I get there and it's still not working right. But so I just kind of tell everybody I'm going to take it easy today. And obviously I work retail. You know, this is my outfit. This is my uniform here. You see me in all the time. I have to lift boxes and stock and whatnot. So I was stocking that morning, and every time I would try to do something, my arms would get really heavy when I would try to lift things. I couldn't walk very long. My heart would, and I kept having to like lean over. And I felt horrible because I felt like a liability. My boss already has to cover for so many people, and a lot of people who don't do their job, which is a common problem. And so I wanted to really work hard, and I kept telling him I feel like a liability because I'm not doing a lot of good work. Even though, you know, he finally told me, okay, go take a little rest. And so I went in the break room for like 10 minutes, and I sat there. And I thought it was getting better, but in reality it wasn't. I went back to work again because I felt like I can't take a break if on the clock, you know. And it didn't, as soon as I started moving things again, it started acting up. Eventually, I told him, you know, hey, I'm not feeling so hot, because it kept getting worse. And everybody was worried about me. They wanted me to go to the doctor in the urgent care. And I didn't want to go because every time I've been to the doctor so many times in and out for this problem, and they tell me they can't do anything about it. You know, it's a heart problem. What can they do? They told me in an extreme emergency, they could, like if I was dying, they could try to replace it with a pig valve or something. But they don't want to do that because it's risky and it costs a lot. So they only want to do it in case of emergency. Besides that, there's literally nothing they can do. And you can't stop it once it starts. Sometimes it just snaps and goes away on its own. And I feel bad for leaving work. So I kind of I don't want to say humor. I planned just to go to sleep. And I hoped desperately that I could go to sleep, wake up, and it'd be over because I was tired. But they were worried about me. So everybody wanted me to go to the doctor. And I realized if I'm out of work, then I need a note anyway to make him understand that it really was serious, that I was leaving. And the whole way, it never let up, not once. And I went to urgent care. And I filled out that paper. I wrote rapid heartbeat, heavy limbs, and trouble breathing. And I sat there in that waiting room for over an hour and a half. While people around me, I felt kind of hopeless because my heart was beating uncontrollably. There were people in there who just had some people didn't even look sick. One had a cough. One was in there for a sore joint or something. And I'm sitting there for over an hour and a half and my heart is pounding crazy and something is terribly wrong and they wouldn't see me. And I figured if I sat there and rested for a while that eventually it would just be over. And it got to the point several times where I was thinking, this is ridiculous, I'm going to take my chances and just leave. But I waited it out. And they finally saw me. And as soon as I stepped into that room, they did an EKG. They asked me, I explained, told them what was up. And as soon as I did the EKG, that nurse left and she got this doctor. And doctor came in and said, yeah, you're going to the hospital. You're in critical condition. Your ambulance is on its way right now. And they tried to help me. They had me hold my breath and push and pretty much trick it, but nothing helped. And so, I was kind of oh, okay, because I didn't really want to go to the emergency room. I was so used to living with this problem that I didn't think that this was such a fuss for me about. But they were really concerned and they were taking it more serious than I expected. I kept asking what's going to happen? And he tried to explain it to me, but at the point, I wasn't listening. I was just concerned about the cost and the ambulance and the drama. I don't want that attention. And I remember I wasn't even going to go to the doctor in the first place, but apparently my heart rate was pushing 190 since 2 a.m. that morning. 190. So my family started freaking out. And I'm sorry, I'm just a little bit nervous already just remembering it detail by detail because it was a little bit scary. Even though at the time I didn't feel anything. I was just listening. The ambulance drivers come in with that gurney table thing. And they put me onto it. And they tried several things. The lady tried to get me to blow into a syringe, hoping that would reset it. That didn't work. They tried to put me on an IV that would drip medicine to lower my heart rate. And they said that wasn't working. So they said, yeah, they were going to have to do... They kept calling me a tracheartic, something like that, tracheatic. And I could tell that they were really concerned about it. And they were asking me questions like, do you have any chest pains? No, they're like, why are you not unconscious right now? The guy kept telling me, you're a medical anomaly, because they've never seen somebody with this heart rate just be casual awake like this. And I didn't feel any chest pain. It was just the beating. It was normal to me. So I guess I underestimated the problem. They brought me out into the ambulance, okay? And then on top of that, this doctor charged me $200 for just waiting over an hour and a half, stepping into that room, and then sending me to the hospital, which I should have just went to the hospital in the first place. But they put me in the back of that ambulance, and then it was pretty much a nightmare from here. They had me sitting there, and I remember looking around and thinking, this is the first time I've been in the ambulance, and I could tell people that. It was a lot smaller than you see on TV. There was a broken air conditioner, the 2 doors, and just a small bench to my side. And they were sitting on both sides and they were working on me. They had this IV dripping more medicine into me, and they were concerned because they were radio people, and they were using medical terms, and I could tell they weren't trying to scare me, that there was a sense of urgency in their voice. They were telling me they didn't want to have to do this or this, and that they were hoping this would work or else they would have to be more drastic. I kind of appreciated them because they were so friendly. They made me comfortable, and I was able to talk to them, and they would answer my questions honestly. And the whole time, I know I should have been scared, but I wasn't. It was a bit surreal because maybe I was just still in shock, I think. And I think I still was after a few days. She said it wasn't working and that they were going to have to shock me. And that's when it kind of hit me what they were going to do. And then I kind of panicked a little bit inside. You could hear it charging in the background, the brrrr. And she had these huge gold stickers. They put one on my chest and one on my side. And it was bigger than my palm. And she was trying to explain to me. And I tried to stop. I was I said, wait, are you sure I'm not just nervous? They said, unfortunately not. And when I get nervous, I joke. So that was kind of my way of easing it a little. But it didn't help. And the whole time, the only thing I was thinking of, I wasn't scared of dying from this problem. I was scared of putting my life in someone else's hands because this heartbeat thing, and they wanted to shock me, and I was afraid because she was talking about how it was going to stop it and then restart it. And in my mind, I was thinking, what if they underestimate the problem and they stop it and it sends it into more panic and they're unable to bring me back? So I was more concerned with putting my life in their hand, having to trust somebody else with my life. And then I was thinking, can I just take my own chances and hope it stops on its own? Or should I let them, because, what if they don't, I don't say what if they don't know what they're doing, but what if they haven't run into this kind of problem? What if they take it like a normal heart attack and not like a heart problem? You know what I'm saying? And I think that was just me with the trust issues. But I apparently I didn't have a choice. They were urgent. So she had those paddles and she said, okay, she said, take a deep breath. And y'all, I'm telling you, it was awful. There's nothing like it. And the guy joked with me. He said, tell me what it feels like, because we never get to shock anyone who's conscious. And, I was like, what? But at the same time, I thought that was kind of funny. And she said, take a deep breath. And I did. And as soon as I let it out, she didn't wait. She hit me with it. And I swear to God, it went on forever. It hit me with it. And I was like stunned because she told me it was going to feel like it hit to the chest. And they kind of argued about it. He was like, how do you know? Have you ever been hit with it? And I could tell that she wanted him to stop talking because she was just trying to comfort me. But I had already caught that little between them. And when she hit me with it, that is kind of what it felt like. There was almost no electricity feeling to it. It was a physical, like a hit. And it felt like being yanked at two ways at once, up and down. And I know I came off of that thing, and she said my arms went up like I was going to hit her. I don't remember that. I remember the lights got really bright, and I was staring up at the ceiling while this had happened. And it felt like it was going on forever when it should have been a second. Later on, they tell me that it was supposed to be 3 seconds that it shocked me, but I thought it was only going to be a second, so that might be why. And they also said adrenaline slows your time perception down. So that's probably why, the lights got brighter and everything, and then, I couldn't help it. It had pulled a scream out of me. And she was saying, oh, I know. And then it ended. And, then these strange tingles went down my legs and up my head and, through my arms. It hit in center and it tingled outwards. Then it was over. And just like that, it had reset my heartbeat back to normal. And she was like, hey, guess what? We did it. And I was still in such a state of shock. I was like, we did? And then, I told her, I'm like, yeah, I feel better. But I don't know if that was the truth or if I was just happy that it was over. And I was just relieved because I did not want to be shocked again. There was nothing that awful. So after that, she radios and the ambulance goes. And then they drive me to the hospital. And I'm just sitting there so relieved that it's over. And the door opens up and the guy's there. And I'm like, and I told him, I said, yeah, she shot me. And he was like, I know, I heard it from up front. I described to him, it was kind of like a jet was flying right over you or through you. And inside the hospital, all those doctors and whatnot, they looked really pleased. They were, because she kept saying that they converted me. And they were showing everybody my paper, that this is my heartbeat before and that this is afterwards. And they were proud of that. And they were saying, oh, we saved a life today. And this whole time I had no idea. I was in literally such a critical condition since 2 a.m. that morning. And they were pissed off at me, and rightly so, that I endured it this whole time. And they said that it was because of my size that actually saved me, because my body has less for the heart to support. That if I was a big person, that I probably would have given out, had a stroke or a heart attack or died or something. They kept calling me medical anomaly and miracle child. And she actually thought my enzymes, whatever that means, were going to be bad because of being shocked. But she was surprised that they were just fine. They were normal. And I want to say it was one of the scariest moments of my life. I thought for a fact my life could have ended right there in the back of that ambulance right at the start of New Year's. I don't know. It was just really surreal that everything in my life could have just come to a stop all of a sudden. And that these people took really good care of me, even though I was so afraid to trust them. But they knew what they were doing. And, I told them thank you. But I feel like just saying thank you can't really do it justice. So they put me on this medicine that's supposed to lower my heart rate by taking it once a day. And so far, it really has helped. I've noticed my, uneven natural heart rate go down to a nice even pace of like 80s. And I'm terrified of the cost because I don't have insurance or anything like that. And I'm a bit afraid of the future because I'm only 30. I'm 31 right now. And if this is what it's doing to me at 30, when I'm supposed to be like in the prime of my life, what about when I'm 60 or 70? Would my body be able to keep up with it and endure it like it has? Like, I was afraid to do anything. I was afraid afterwards. I was afraid to drink Cokes. I was afraid to go back to work. I was afraid to... And then at work, I have everybody fawning over me like babysitters. And it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. But I really do appreciate it in a way that like I can't even describe. So I just wanted to document that so I can look back on this later on. I don't want to be shocked again. Anyway, that's all I have for story time. Back to our book basics.